So I had started reading the first book of Samuel, and in the first couple of chapters is talking about Hannah. And I wanted to share because it's just a reminder of, when we are crying out to Yahuah for something, you know, when we are begging and pleading for something that we're asking him to do in our lives. And just thinking about that process and maybe thinking back on my own life and when I have cried out for things and pleaded. And this was just a beautiful short story in First Samuel. And Hannah is married to Elkanah. Her husband Elkanah had two wives. It was Hannah and Peninnah was the other woman. And because Hannah didn't have any children, she was tormented about it because, I mean, during that time, you saw the blessing in so many ways through children, right? That's how people viewed you. If you had children, it's like the more you had, it's like, oh, you are so blessed. You are so blessed, And she didn't have any children, and it was a great problem for her. So looking at First Samuel, starting at the first chapter, the second verse, it says, "And he had two wives," meaning her husband Elkanah. The name of one was Hannah, the name of the other Peninnah. And Peninnah had children, but Hannah had no children. So this was the problem, I mean, can you imagine the other wife? They have children, everybody is praising them. She didn't have any. She didn't have, I don't even know how that's looked upon, like a legacy for her. Not even a legacy, really. In the fourth verse, it says, "And when the time was that Elkanah offered, he gave to Peninnah his wife and to all her sons and her daughters portions. But unto Hannah he gave a worthy portion, for he loved Hannah. But Yahuah had shut up her womb. And her adversary also provoked her sore, for to make her fret, because Yahuah had shut up her womb. And as he did so, year by year, she went up to the house of Yahuah. So she provoked her, therefore she wept and did not eat. Then said Elkanah her husband to her, Hannah, why weepest thou? And why eatest thou not? Why is thy heart grieved? Am not I better to thee than 10 sons? So, I mean, he doesn't know what to do. She's just so torn up about this, crying. And he's like, I'm better than you having 10 sons. Don't worry about it, You can't bear children, but don't worry about it. So Hannah, verse 9, so Hannah rose up after they had eaten in Shiloh and after they had drunk. Now Eli, the priest, sat upon a seat by the post of the temple of Yahuah. And she was in bitterness of soul. Hannah was bitterness in soul. And she prayed unto Yahuah and wept sore. And she vowed a vow and said, O Yahuah of hosts, if thou wilt indeed look on the affliction of thine handmaid, and remember me, and not forget thine handmaid, but will give unto thine handmaid a man child, then I will give him unto Yahuah all the days of his life, and there shall no razor come upon his head. So imagine that. Hannah is so downtrodden and bitter in spirit and soul, and she makes a promise. She's begging Yah. Listen, and how many of us have done that? You're just begging him. If you do this for me, I'll do this. Please, please, Yah, do this for me. I promise I'm going to do something else. I'm going to do this other thing for you. Just give me this one thing that I'm asking for. Many of us we've done that. And, the scripture speaks, because I'm more careful about it now. I try to be, because there's a verse that talks about making a vow. If you make a vow, you better be sure you repay that what you promise unto Yahuwah. Don't make a vow and then try to you know, to go back on your word. So be careful. Which is why it says, don't even promise. Just let your yea be yeas and your nay be nays. And that's something we have to think about. And I try to remember that. It's like sometimes we're praying for something and it's like, I don't want to make any promises that I know my heart is willing, but my flesh is weak, that I may falter upon. I don't want to make any promises. I just want to say, Yah willing, help me to do what I need to do, but we've all prayed. Maybe we've all, or maybe you've said something like that before. Listen, if you just do this one thing for me. So Hannah made her vow. She's like, if you just do this for me, I will give this child unto you, Yah. And she asked for a man child. And verse 12, and it came to pass, as she continued praying before Yahuwah, that Eli, the prophet of Yahuwah, he's a prophet of Yah, he marked her mouth. He was watching her. Now Hannah, she spake in her heart, only her lips moved, but her voice was not heard. Therefore Eli thought she had been drunken. I mean, this woman she's praying so hard. Only her lips are moving. She is begging. And Eli, verse 14, Eli said unto her, how long wilt thou be drunken? Put away thy wine from thee. He thought she was drunk. Verse 15, and Hannah answered and said, no, my Lord, I'm a woman of sorrowful spirit. I have drunk neither wine nor strong drink, but have poured out my soul before Yahuwah. That's all she was doing, pouring out her soul. How many of you have had to do that? Just pour out your soul. In verse 17, after she told Eli that, Eli answered and said, go in peace, and the Elohim of Israel grant thee thy petition that thou hast asked of him. And she said, let thine handmaid find grace in thy sight. So the woman went away and did eat, and her countenance was no more sad. So Eli spoke to her. She knows Eli is a man of Elohim, a man of God. So he told her, go in peace, and the Elohim of Israel grant thee thy petition that thou hast asked. Pretty much it's done. And she knew it. She knew that if this man of God is saying this to me, she knew it was done. What did she do? There was no more sadness. She went away, she ate, and her countenance was no more sad. Verse 20, wherefore it came to pass, when the time was come about, after Hannah had conceived, that she bare a son, and called his name Samuel, saying, because I have asked him of Yahuwah. And the man Elkanah and his house went up to offer unto Yahuwah the yearly sacrifice and his vow. But Hannah did not go, she went not up, for she said unto her husband, I will not go up until the child be weaned, and then I will bring him, that he may appear before Yahuwah, and there abide forever. She already knew she's not going back on her promise. Once I wean my child, she's saying, I'm going to take him to appear before Yahuwah. He's going to be with Eli serving in the temple, and he's going to stay there forever. Verse 23, and Elkanah her husband said unto her, do what seemeth good to you. Tarry until thou have weaned him. Only Yahuwah established his word. So the woman abode and gave her son suck until she weaned him. And when she had weaned him, she took him up with her, with 3 bullocks and 1 ephah of flour and a bottle of wine, and brought him unto the house of Yahuwah in Shiloh, and the child was young. And they slew a bullock and brought the child to Eli. And she said, O my Lord, as thy soul liveth, my Lord, I am the woman that stood by thee here praying unto Yahuah. For this child I prayed, and Yahuah had given me my petition, which I asked of him. Therefore also I have lent him to Yahuah. As long as he liveth, he shall be lent to Yahuah. And he worshipped Yahuah there. So Hannah fulfilled her promise. She said, yeah, if you give me this child, I'm gonna give him back to you. I'm lending him back to you. He will serve. He will be in the house of Yah forever. Chapter 2. And Hannah prayed and said, my heart rejoiceth in Yahuah. Mine horn is exalted in Yahuah. My mouth is enlarged over mine enemies, because I rejoice in thy salvation. Verse 2. There is none holy as Yahuah, for there is none beside thee. Neither is there any rock like our Elohim. Talk no more so exceeding proudly. Let not arrogancy come out of your mouth. For Yahuah is a God of knowledge, and by him actions are weighed. The bows of the mighty men are broken, and they that stumbled are girded with strength. They that were full have hired out themselves for bread. They that were hungry ceased, so that the barren had borne 7, and she that had many children is waxed feeble. Yahuah killeth and maketh alive. He bringeth down to the grave and bringeth up. Yahuah maketh poor and maketh rich. He bringeth low and lifteth up. He raiseth up the poor out of the dust, and lifted up the beggar from the dunghill, to set them among the princes, and to make them inherit the throne of glory. For the pillars of the earth are Yahuah's, and he had set the world upon them. Listen to verse 9. He will keep the feet of his saints, and the wicked shall be silent in darkness, for by strength shall no man prevail. The adversaries of Yahuah shall be broken to pieces. Out of heaven shall he thunder upon them. Yahuah shall judge the ends of the earth, and he shall give strength unto his king, and exalt the horn of his anointed. Hannah kept her vow, and she was blessed even more in the end. In verse 20, chapter 2, verse 20, it says, and Eli blessed Elkanah and his wife, and said, Yahuah give thee seed of this woman, for the loan which is lent to Yahuah. And they went unto their own home. And Yahuah visited Hannah, so that she conceived, and bare 3 sons and 2 daughters. And the child Samuel grew before Yahuah. So she went on to have more children. She may not have known it at the time, but she still walked in faith. She lent her only child that Yahuah did grant, that Yahuah did give her. She lent that child back to Yahuah. So she was faithful unto the very end. And Eli said a blessing over them and asked Yah to give them seed. And they had more children. So that's faith. She stood in her faith. She did what she promised, and she walked in faith. And it's not easy, because when we're dealing with our own problems, sometimes we feel so alone, like nobody else knows about this. Nobody else has ever experienced this problem that we're dealing with, and we just feel alone and isolated, and like the problem is just insurmountable. It just can't be solved, nothing. But nothing's too hard for Yahuah. We have to remember that. No problem too big, no problem too small. Whatever it is, he can deal with it. He will deal with it. But let's try to be steadfast. Let's try to be steadfast. Sometimes when we're crying out, you may have been crying so much that until there are no more tears to cry, you may only be able to groan. If you can't say anything else, just call on Yahuwah's name. He knows. He knows everything. He knows everything. And He will do what He promised. He will do what He promised. Thank you very much for listening. I hope this helps, even if just one person. Let's just continue to walk in faith. Thank you for listening. I'm DeDe, and thanks again.